This is Let's Talk Business with your hosts, Marc Ebinger and Heather Boehme. Now, here's Marc.
Welcome to Let's Talk Business, a show that talks entrepreneurship with some of the best businesses in the San Antonio area. Coming up on the show today, we're going to talk with Keaton Frieberg, a law partner with Texas Suits who specializes in real estate and business transactions and litigation. Keaton, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You're looking sporty.
Thank you. I'll try it.
I'm not going to tell anybody that your suit doesn't match your
Nope.
pants.
There
Your
we
jacket
go.
doesn't match.
Now everybody knows. Might as well just back up.
Let the record reflect that his coat does not match his pants.
I got ready in the dark. I did it.
I love it. Do
Looking
you have
back
a
now.
disclaimer or anything that you need? Because
Oh, yeah.
you're like a full-fledged lawyer.
Oh, yeah. Can you move that to the beginning of this?
Maybe. Go ahead and say it, though.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Everything that is said in today's podcast is purely informational. It's not legal advice. You know, if you have a situation come up, you should seek the advice of counsel and not rely on information stated in today's podcast.
Great, off the cuff. Love it.
Yeah. You actually
Legal
said that in a
ease.
very relational way.
I was trying.
Yeah.
Good.
I was going to
Great.
say also, I do not give legal advice. I do have a license here in the state of Texas for real estate.
Yeah.
So I am not a lawyer. You need to hire your own lawyer to clear questions, legal questions. And obviously, my investments that I do are creative. So again, hire an attorney or a great agent to walk you through it, or a broker to walk you through the process.
We're also going to talk with JMichael Jeffords, an entrepreneur and real estate investor. JMichael, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. In studio with us today is Heather Boehme, a certified business coach that works with business owners to gain clarity and achieve their goals. Heather, welcome back to the show.
Excited to be here, Marc.
And I'm your host, Marc Ebinger, the owner of Crükus Marketing Agency, a company that specializes in giving small businesses a competitive edge by hiring administrative and social media experts from the Philippines for as little as $7 an hour. These are the guys and gals that have helped me develop a six-figure company in 7 months. So super excited about the leverage that's available there and the ease by which I can get stuff done. Like the legal world of hiring and firing and the whole thing is just, it's not as simple as we'd like it to be, but it's a lot more simple when you're hiring from overseas.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And just on that, Marc, your VAs have been, or your VA that you helped me acquire has been incredible for me. I know I told you this the other day, but I have another company, and we just sell products. And so that's what my VA helps me with, is push that product on social media. And she's doubled my sales already. So it's been super, super fantastic.
I love it when the, contract employees will pay for themselves very, very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Love
Oh,
it.
yeah. And she loves what she's doing, too. She's super excited about it. So it's fun to work with her.
Awesome. A quick reminder for our listeners, you can catch video and podcast versions of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. And if you're a business owner in the San Antonio area and would like to have your company featured on the show, or you just want to come have a talk with a cool guy like myself and a cool gal like Heather, visit our website at satalkradio.com or call our office at 210-960-8210. That's 210-960-8210. And yes, a VA will answer the phone.
But you got to book soon because
Not
we're
gonna
booking out months in advance now.
Are you really?
We're fancy like that, yeah.
Oh.
Into September, yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to be doubling down on what's going on with my outreach and everything else. I've got some cool ideas of stuff that are coming. So
I got
Great.
recognized the other day because of his VA's outreach. I was at a ribbon cutting, and I was talking to the owner about my podcast. He was like, the podcast we already talked about? I was like, maybe. And I was like, it's Let's Talk Business. And he goes, yep, that was definitely you guys. We're so excited. I was recognized-ish.
Love
just by the
it.
name, but because your VA's reached out.
yeah, they work hard.
That is cool.
All right, so I'm real curious. So we're talking real estate investing on this show. This is about, I'm doing some specialty shows and stuff like that to get information and get experts in the field to come and talk about their area that they're passionate about. And let's get that information out and educate the public and have a little bit of fun doing it. So Keaton, obviously you're involved in the law aspect of it. Give us like a quick synopsis of what you're doing in the real estate investment space and then how you and JMichael came together. What's the deal there?
Sure. Yeah. I think I can answer both questions in one. So interesting transactions is kind of what brought JMichael and I together. And that's kind of where we've been in the real estate space. And JMichael can get into that a little bit further. But, creative transactions, things that basically just aren't so traditional and require maybe a little bit of the legal side to help facilitate a deal or push it all the way through is kind of what we're doing right now, what I've been working on a lot. It could be anything from, a person who can't access their home because they don't have a legal right of way or an easement to their property, and they just need to refinance it. And they need help, showing the bank that, yes, I can actually walk or get to my property, because the bank is like, no, how do you even get there? I can't lend on this home if you can't even access it. So been helping people in that kind of space and just other deals sort of like that.
Yeah, I remember you asking about, if anybody needed help in that space with, easements and what do they call that with the establishing your property lines?
Like your surveyors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, so how does a lawyer get involved in the survey dispute side of it, or figuring that out? What do you do to facilitate that, just generally?
Yeah, well, what you got to do is at some point you have to have an easement, and it'll end up being recorded. But to get the metes and bounds to basically tell somebody where the easement is, where is the actual place that I'm going to now occupy or have the ability to occupy. That's where the surveyor comes in. They'll go out there and they'll stake it, and they'll give you the metes and bounds that you put on the easement, that you end up, having some other, the grantor in that case, the individual who's giving somebody else the right to walk or drive on a strip of property. That's what you'll give to them for them to sign off and say, yep, I'm okay with that.
Is that how you get involved, is for that person signing that right?
Yes, actually drafting the easements, or sometimes if that potential grantor doesn't want to sign it voluntarily, then in the case if it's like an easement by necessity and you do actually have the right to, somebody does have the right to use another individual's land to access their own and they don't want to give it up, then sometimes you have to go to court over it.
Because the state of Texas guarantees a right to an easement, but sometimes there's fighting from the actual person
who doesn't want to give it up. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got to also, and then it gets pretty nitty gritty, because it's like, well, okay, fine. They do have the right to use this land, but like where and how much? And so that's where surveyors come in, or we come in.
I grew up in a 20-year feud between my mother and our back neighbor because of that exact type of problem.
Yeah,
it was rowdy.
Her family's the Hatfields and McCoys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, except there was no.
I was totally kidding.
No, I grew up with my mom telling me the lady. This is terrible. But she told me the lady who lived behind us was a witch who ate children. Oh. Because they bought a piece of property and they didn't have access to it and they needed an easement, and they started, asking everybody in front of them for the easement property, and it just so happened my mom got the short end of the stick. And she was really unhappy with that. So years.
Right, this ends up on the University of YouTube, and everybody's like, wait a second, I did the way you said it, dude.
That's one of the big things they'll get realtors on, though, is as practicing law, because if they write anything into those contracts that's not specifically allowed, it's considered practicing law, and they'll get you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost safer not to have a license.
It actually is safer not to have a license. It's turning into what California turned into, where they make it, if you have a license, a real estate license, even though it only takes people, it took me to pass this stuff 2 weeks here. Yeah. It took 30 days from start to get my license, finished, signed off by the state. And you're held to a different standard. Mm-hmm. And if you make money now in real estate as an agent, you have to abide by certain legal, parameters. And it just makes it a lot more difficult. So, yeah. If you're going to do investing, don't necessarily get your license.
Yeah. So how did you guys ended up just on a real estate transaction? You go back, were you kid friends like in high school? I mean, what's the deal here? How do you guys know each other? Sorry, I just want to know.
Anybody looking at the
No, that's a good question. Yeah, just some sort of creative deal that came up, and I think maybe you needed some help on something.
You guys hit it off as far as, hey, I like you, you like me, we can make some money together?
Yeah, well, just talking over some of these transactions and talking over the market, where it's going, and just discussing some of the nuances of real estate, I think, is where we kind of...
Now it's time to go out and take over.
Yeah.
So what do you bring? I know what Keaton brings to the table. What do you bring to the table?
Well, first, I'll go back to that point. Oh, shoot. I thought I put it on silent, but every great investor or real estate person here in Texas or anywhere in the United States needs a great lawyer to work with.
100%.
Yes.
And if you're going to do real estate, get a real estate lawyer to work with. Absolutely. That's the first thing I did. Boots on the ground. when I first got here to Texas. So I was my family's from North Texas, but I was raised in California. So when I came back to Texas 2.5 years ago, the very first thing I did was start reaching out for legal.
I think you probably learned that in California, right? You're like, oh, I need an attorney for everything.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, first and foremost. And second, what I bring to the table, I've been doing real estate. I've been either as an investor, as a developer, an agent, or rehabber, whatever you want to call it, for almost 30 years. I'm in my 29th year right now. I was in the military full time, and my friends were buying cars, and I bought my first house at 19. And then I rehabbed it, and then 18 months or 24 months later, I bought 3 houses. Dang. And then I just started on the investor side. I went backwards. And then after a while, I said, hey, I might as well. I'm doing this anyways. I'm doing this for investors. I might as well get my license.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So I got my license, and I was taught by the people, the old salty dogs, the gals and guys that had 150, 200 homes in their portfolios, and they were just regular mom and pops, janitors, or they just had the little business. And I said, how did you do that? And they taught me how to do that, and basically they're very creative structuring of deals. And from there, I basically you can do that,
yeah.
And then I just have always used those creative ways to build portfolios. That led me to be able to travel all over the world, 79 countries in the past 30 years, and so
take some time off to learn how to dance.
Yeah, exactly. I had it was 3 months on, 3 months off for years. That was just the thing.
I love that.
So
That is cool.
I've heard the word creative a lot, and I feel like, especially if anybody's listening to this and doesn't have a huge amount of research into the real estate world, they hear creative and that goes, what are some examples of creative ways? Because the traditional is you go to the bank, you get pre-approved, you buy the real estate, XYZ. So tell me about the word creative.
Yeah. So creatively speaking about creative, okay. So financing. So usually the ownership of real estates, there's 2 forms of ownership. There's the legal person that lives there. It's a landlord, whatever, property owner. And then there's the bank side of ownership, right? Mm-hmm. So most people have a hard time with the bank side of ownership because they don't have financing. Maybe they don't have a stable job, or they have stable money coming in, but it comes from different sources. So the banks are like, I'm not going to loan this to this guy. So usually creative to me means the structuring of the financing of the deal, because most sellers will sell it to you if you have cash. But if you don't have cash, how are you going to do it? Well, there's many different ways to structure deals. You can do it as an option. If you think that a piece of property is getting developed and the city's moving out a certain way, you can put an option on land out towards that area, and then you don't actually buy the land or the house or the property. You actually put an option to buy the property at a future date for future, agreed on set amount of money. And then that way, as the development happens out there, maybe you bought in when they thought it was worth, $50,000 an acre, and it goes up to $400,000 an acre, like in the hill country, and you cash in your option, you execute the contract, and now you just made, maybe on your $50,000 option, made $500,000 or $1 million.
That's nice. That's a creative way to make money, as they say.
Oh, developing real estate also. Most people that are buying lots and land, everybody's coming to Texas for land. Most people are looking for an acre, maybe a couple acres. So they're not looking for 40 or 50 acres. So if you want to go out there, put a deal together for 40, 50 acres, and then you get a surveyor to go out there, an engineering company to go out there and replat the land into 2-acre plats, and then you may have picked up the 40 acres for for $100,000, and then you go out there and you resell each 1-acre lot or 2-acre lot for $50,000 or $100,000 each, because people aren't looking for that. They're looking for what? So you do highest and best use. It's called highest and best use for land or for residential commercial property.
Okay. So what's hot here in the San Antonio area? Is that it? Is it taking the big pieces and breaking them into smaller ones and selling them off?
Oh, that's right now, because we're in a transitioning market. We have, our inventory in the market is still under historical levels. Historical levels should be of single-family residences on the market should be about 12,000. We're about 10,500 to 10,800 on this morning, and so we're still a little under inventory. But the hot part of this market is creative financing, seller financing deals. where people are buying houses without the bank credit with the seller financing type of deal set up. And then also out in the south part, south San Antonio, lots of acreage for sale.
Yeah.
People, that's a hot one. And like working on a deal, $165,000 house with 6 acres, and then cutting it up into 3 parcels and selling each parcel for $100,000. But the middle parcel has the house, rehab the house, sell it for maybe $250,000 or $300,000. So walk out of there with a couple $100,000, maybe $250,000 in your pocket from a deal that cost you maybe $60,000 all in.
Wow.
So you invest mostly for the equity turnaround.
Yeah, I do a forced appreciation, some type of forced appreciation.
And what about cash flow?
Cash flow is only important when you're doing something like you're buy and hold, right? The DSCR loans work really good for a property that cash flows really well because you're using the property. DSCR is debt service loan, to where you're using the cash flow of the property to actually qualify for the loan. And usually your interest rate is a little bit higher on those deals, but you don't have as much to put out. Sometimes you don't even have to have a credit score. Depends on how much cash flow is coming in. They don't even check your credit score, or your income levels.
But JMichael, do you like cash flow?
I love cash flow. Yeah, I do love cash flow.
I think that's the answer we were looking for.
Oh, really?
I mean, any answer is good when it comes to cash flow. So you're talking force equity on that side, which I appreciate because getting those lump sums is great. Where are you investing for cash flow?
Well, right now, I've set up different LLCs with investors that I know that they basically put money into the LLC, and I create cash with those LLCs. We usually, the perfect situation is where you buy a piece of property that you have to rehab. You don't buy it already up to date and stuff. And a great deal. I have we just have this one for 1,600 square foot duplex for, got it on a $91,000 owner contract, put $4,000 down, have a balloon payment, so no payments for a year, absolutely no payments a year, and the note interest is 3%.
Oh, wow.
So we're turning that into a cash flow deal. We're debating between renting out the units or renting out the rooms, and then we'll sell it to an investor on the backside. Once the property is rehabbed and it's cash flowing, we'll sell it to an investor. That's what I'm thinking that we're going to do. We always want to have multiple exit strategies when you go into a deal, never just for one exit strategy, because if you just have one, you're done. And 2 is few, so you got to have 3 or more.
Do you have the people you're working with already, or are you always looking to bring in new people that you would work with on the real estate investing?
The investors, we have to have the deals in the pipeline. So right now, we only have enough deals for what we have right now with investors that we have right now. When we're going to bring on a new investor, we actually have to start the pipeline for that amount of funding, because if somebody gives me $5 million, I can't guarantee them anything right now because I don't have any deals in the pipeline for that specific $5 million. So we actually have to have deals coming in so we can deploy that cash out, because just sitting in the bank, it's not doing us anything. The bank's not giving us any interest. The investor wants money, wants return. So a cart, is before the horse, right? So we got to have the deals. So usually we max out about 10 to 12 investors. We can't do any more than that. I'm not set up to do any more than 10 to 12.
Is that hard to? Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Is that hard to structure? Because when the deal comes through, it's like usually you got to move pretty quick. So is it hard to keep both of those in balance as far as having the right amount of investors for the right amount of deals that are coming through?
Yeah, I think that's like the catch for all business, right? Like if you have plenty of customers but not enough product, you have plenty of product but not enough customers. I think that's the dance that we play as entrepreneurs or business owners, right? Like VAs in the Philippines, there's tons of people over there that can work, but then people over here that want it, but you're the middleman going, okay, I got to get the clients to get these people, but I got to get these people to get the clients. I can get 50 people that need a VA, but if I don't have the VAs to take care of them, So that's probably where you come in, right, Mark?
Yeah. And that's where the middleman, you're the facilitator to some degree, working these deals and managing these deals and all that. There's a lot of value in that because you're making people money, and then you're taking your piece in there as well. Do you? I'm curious. I mean, I have so many questions about when it comes into this, because I really don't know this area, but obviously, buying big tracts of land, breaking them into smaller pieces, that's one thing, right? Like you talked about that. Buying a property, doing forced depreciation, and then either selling that off or renting it or buying whole, whatever that can be. What's something else? What's your favorite way of making money in this space right now?
Ooh, my favorite?
Yeah.
That's like saying, what's your favorite ice cream? It's Rocky Road.
It could be right now. What's your favorite right now?
Right now is the creative financing deals where, so the seller financing deals where we're able to turn that seller financing deal into a wrap. So we arbitrage. We get the seller financing at 3%, then we sell it off at 9.99%. So we're making 7% or 6.99% on money, and we're selling it at a rate that larger than what, or for a price larger than what we bought it at. So we're making interest on money that
you created out of thin air.
This is
I've got
no, it's
we're
just
becoming we're becoming the federal bank.
Becoming the bank.
Basically.
Well, when it comes to creative financing, because the thing with creative financing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in order to seller finance something, you can't have like an existing mortgage, or you have to play it very delicately with that, because
if you have an existing mortgage, it would be a wrap. If
it
you
would be
end
a
up selling
wrap.
it. You're wrapping
Exactly.
that
And there's some
pre-existing.
risk in that. But to convince someone to creatively finance the deal instead of just here's the lump sum the way you would traditionally, it's a different type of relationship than just coming in and saying, I'm going to give you 10% down and finance the rest, and you're going to get all of it at once. What is the process that you use to go out and form these relationships that make creative financing an option?
That's a great question. It's a dance again, because a lot of the times you're having to explain. So if the property, the sellers already have representation, legal representation, either law or an attorney or an agent, broker, you're actually having, most of the time, because the market's been so hot for so long, you're having to train or teach, instruct the listing agent all about the different terminology and walk them through and show them the benefits. You're, instead of getting $90,000 cash right now, I can give you, or $100,000 cash, I can give you, $250,000 over the years. And most people are like, what? Wait, what? Right? So you're actually having to instruct them. And then the relationship, it's a dance, and you have to, it's negotiation skills. It's basically delivering certainty that what you're offering is beneficial to them. And then also, because we're so creative, we could do more than one type of deal. We can do a straight note. Like if somebody wants some crazy amount for their house, like, okay, we'll give you that amount, but we're going to do this a straight note, so no interest.
Yeah.
And most people would say, well, why would they accept that? Well, they want that amount. Some people are just stuck on price.
Super fixated on the value of the home.
When they're super fixated on the price, that's what they want. I showed you one not too long ago. It was like a great deal. And he said, I want to pay this much for this type of property. And I brought him a property that's $400,000 more than what he wanted to spend, but the payment was the same as the other one because of creative structuring. So he's basically over time going to pay the same amount for a $900,000 property that he would pay right now for a $530,000 property because of interest rate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of other things that you can negotiate on beyond price. So there's interest rate, the payment amount. What are some of the other key parts of a deal you would negotiate to overcome a price objection like that?
The duration of the note. How long, how the course of, how long it's going to take them to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can mitigate. Some people want a property somewhere else, and you might have access to a property somewhere else. So it's kind of like part money, part exchange. Sometimes people want a certain amount, and you don't know how to do it. So what I love to do, actually, this will get me in. A lot of people are like, I want to do that. If you have somebody that you want to develop their property, but you don't have the $1 million to put the deal together, you put the deal together, and then you do elongated escrow period, and you do all your dirt work, you do all your replat and all your surveying, all your engineering before you even close on the original deal. And then, a few days before the replat's finished, you close on the deal, and then you have, let's say that $1 million is only out of your pocket or out of your investor's pocket for a few weeks. Because as you're doing the replat, you're getting everything lined up. At the same time, you're selling the finished product, the finished plats to future buyers.
Yeah.
So then you close the deal, you're out $1 million for a few weeks, and then they close their deals, and you turn that $1 million into $2 million or that $1 million to $3 million.
Yeah, this is the game they should be teaching people in school.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely.
No, there's so much
Isn't it-
opportunity out there. It's wild.
How to make money out of thin air. Be creative. You know what I mean?
'cause-
Not printing your own money. Not saying that. But we're
That's the
talking about
thing.
just being creative and coming up with ways to earn income.
And usually they're win-wins. Everybody wins in a lot of these.
That's the best way to do it. You sleep at night. Everybody's happy. You don't have to hide in the grocery store. It's a good thing.
And I think people, they get excited. They'll read, who here has read Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And the
It's an
quadrant.
amazing. It changed which
Cash flow
house I bought,
quadrant,
right?
yeah.
It's crazy, but they see that, and a lot of people read it. And he wrote that book, however many years ago,
yeah.
back when a down payment on a house was $4,000 to $5,000 instead of 20 to 30. If you're putting 20% down, and they think, oh well, I don't have the 20% down. It's not that easy anymore. What would you say to someone who is getting into the world of real estate and they don't have the 20 to 30 grand cash at hand?
Get a great mentor and then work with that mentor, and they'll show you how to do it. There's so much information. I get calls all the time from investors that want help. And oh my gosh, how do I shut
busy.
that thing off? and that they want help, or they're new investors and they spend hours. I'm like, listen, you got to get somebody to work with. But they're so afraid of getting somebody to work with, and I don't know why. Usually they're thinking that they have a mentality of lack. There's not enough deals out there. Well, I think there's enough deals for everybody plus some, right? So the object is obviously get a mentor. And then the few things, if you don't have enough money down, what do you have? Do you have cash flow? Do you have people that want to help you buy the property? Do you have maybe a couple partners going on a property together? And then, that's.
You only limits your imagination and how you use those connections.
Yeah, so tell me about short sale. What's a short sale?
Oh, short selling is selling short of what's owed. So that's a great thing. That's becoming more prevalent right now. It was huge from 2005 end of 2005 into 2009, 2010. It's where, let's say, most people don't know that they can actually owe more than the property's worth. But when the market's going back down the other way, you bought the house last August. I have a deal. Bought last August, $309,000. Now he bought a new house. That was a brand new house, and the builder is now building those same houses and selling them for $275,000. So now he's at $35,000 plus he spent $9,000 in closing costs. So he's $45,000 underwater right off the bat. So a short sale is basically where you owe more. I'm sorry, I went a little ahead of myself. A short sale is where you owe more than it's worth. So let's say you were an FHA buyer, you bought it for $309,000, you only put a few percent down. So your loan balance is $300,000, and then you want to sell it today. Well, those same houses in that neighborhood are going for $275,000. You're $25,000 underwater. Plus, you have the selling costs, you have the title insurance, escrow costs, commissions. Brokers have to pay, and agents have to get paid because we have fees that are due to us by us to the state. So we have to negotiate with the bank to accept a short payoff. And people are like, well, why would they do that? Well, it's better for them to take a short payoff now than to take back a property that's trashed or maybe it takes them, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months. So that's another $20,000 of payments that they're underwater. So it's better for them to be proactive in the short sale process. I actually started a company, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, transaction coordinating for short sales only here in Texas. Am I allowed to say that? Okay, so basically what we do is if you guys say okay,
No.
we
for
basically
us.
handle all the transactions for short sale, so it's free to the agents. The banks will
That's
actually,
great.
I know banks will actually pay us for our negotiations. Why would they do that? Because they know that paperwork takes a lot, and they
Going
want to
through
get the deal.
foreclosure
Well,
process takes a lot.
Yeah, so
I
it's
was gonna
better for
say-
them to do that than what and then basically we're in there, and it's we create a win-win situation for the agents, for the homeowners, for the buyers or the investor buyers, and it's a great deal.
Well, that's the thing with short sales. When I was an agent, I had a couple people, I even tried to buy a short sale once, and the thing is, it takes forever. You are, as soon as you turn in the paperwork, it goes to the bottom of their pile, and they work their way through at their pace. So I would always tell my clients, it's going to be probably minimum 6 months before you close on this house. Are you okay with that? And every person that ever went under contract on a short sale with me got impatient, and they bailed out before it got to closing, because it really does take forever. So having that other line of communication, I could see would be a huge value add.
Can you speed that process up?
There are certain things that we can do to alert the bank, especially if there's something serious that might happen. But usually it is about 6 months, on average 5 to 7 months. I have done some that took 2 years, and the whole time the homeowner's not paying. So it's in the bank's best interest to take the deal as soon as possible.
Right. I don't understand why they'd be dragging their feet. Is it the bank that's dragging their feet?
Yeah, because we've been usually it's a servicing company. So most people don't know that the bank, the backside bank that actually holds the note, is not actually servicing the debt. It's an intermediary, and they have a specific, I had this happen on that 24-month deal. They have a specific amount of criteria that they have to check off. And I'm like, hey, you guys, you're somebody's not getting it here. We've delivered everything. Like, no, sir, you haven't. And we had to keep on resubmitting. And finally they came, like, oh, we do have everything. And that was a 7-month.
I just imagine giant stacks of paperwork next to whoever runs short sales, and they're just like, I'll grab this one.
That to me, that's not right. It's something taking that long to go through. Why is that not 30 days?
Well, it's a bad business model from their part too.
Yeah.
They're losing money every
There's
single
an
time.
area of opportunity.
Yeah.
Someone to service short sales for banks.
They just need people to go in and take care of that paperwork.
Move
stuff.
it along. They should be the ones reaching out to you to move the process
they should
along,
be
not
trying
the
to
other way.
Yeah,
Because
you'd
the
think
faster
that.
it turns around, the more money they make on. I mean, they're not making money in the first place.
Yeah, most people don't know that the banks are already leveraged. We have this fractional reserve type of debt system where, if they do a loan of $300,000, they may have only had $3,000 in the bank in their vault to cover that $300,000. The other $297,000 is covered by the Fed on the back end. So if they take a loss of anything more than $3,000 on that debt, then let's say $30,000, that wipes away 10 loans of money of reserve. And if you have it, anything more than 3,000 is nothing. Most, and some it's even gone negative. How do they do that? Because they like arbitrage off an arbitrage off an arbitrage. So they do, and it just goes negative. I don't know exactly how it works because I'm on a banking system, but it's a little scary. So they don't want to take the debt back. So that's why you find banks that will hold off 2, 3, 4, 5 years from taking a house back, because they know the day that they take that back, actually, you have to do mark to market. So if they take it back and hold it in their coffers, they can say it's worth whatever they say it's worth.
Okay.
If the loan balance is $400, but the actual value of the house is $200, they'll say, oh yeah, we're taking back a $400,000 asset. We'll put it on our books as a $400,000 asset. We only owe $200,000. Oh, good. Well, actually, it's if they sell it on the courthouse steps, that day they have to take the loss. That's why a lot of banks they're like burying their head. I don't know if you guys go on foreclosure.
The motive.
Have you guys gone to foreclosure sales lately? Last one I went to, 10% of the banks showed up.
Wow.
Of all the foreclosures, 10% of the trustees showed up to sell those properties.
So what does that mean for the ones that didn't show up?
They're just kicking the can down the road.
Another month, another 2 months.
Yep.
Wow. They're hiding. They're hiding the money.
Yeah, he's just.
They're hiding the debt, maybe, or they're hiding the risk or something.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They're trying to push, and it's like a whatever that game is where they're just hiding things on the paper.
Oh, the shell game.
Yeah,
They're playing the shell game.
I'm gonna put some under here.
All right. Well,
some under here.
we great discussion. There's so much. More that can be unpacked there, but I appreciate that. So, if folks want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Probably Instagram is the easiest. JMichael Jeffords.
Oh. on the gram. What about you, Keaton?
That's great. Well, I wish I could say on the gram too, but definitely our website, txsuits.com, or via our phone, 210-503-2800.
All right, as we wrap up the show, a quick reminder for our to catch our latest podcast and catch video version of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. That's going to be it for us. You guys have a great week, and we'll see you on the next one.
You too. Thanks for having us.